Most people walk into a grocery store thinking they're making smart choices. They compare prices. They look for sales. They clip a coupon here and there. But I'm going to tell you something that took me years to figure out, and something almost nobody is talking about right now. The grocery industry is built on a very simple idea. Make you feel like you're saving money while quietly taking more of it. And it works. It works every single week, on millions of people who consider themselves smart shoppers. Today, we're going over 15 grocery items that are almost never worth buying. Some of these are things you reach for every single week without thinking twice. And one of them, number 7, is something so common, so everywhere, that when I say it, you might actually laugh. Because you won't believe how much money you've been quietly wasting on it. Stick around for number 7. You'll want to hear that one. And if this kind of insider shopping knowledge is useful to you, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. We do this every week. Real data, real trends, no fluff. Let's get into it. Number 1. Pre-cut fruit and vegetables. This one surprised me when I first did the math. I genuinely thought I was saving time and therefore money by buying those little plastic clamshells of pre-cut melon, pre-sliced bell peppers, and diced onions. I figured, it's convenient. I actually eat it. It's worth it. Here's what the math actually looks like. A whole watermelon at most major grocery chains, Walmart, Kroger, Aldi, runs somewhere between $5 and $8 depending on the season. That same watermelon, pre-cut and packed into 2 little plastic containers, will cost you $12 to $18. You're paying 2 to 3 times more for about 10 minutes of someone else's knife work. The produce industry calls this value-added packaging. Food economists have tracked the markup on pre-cut produce for years, and the general finding is consistent. You pay a premium of 60 to 300% depending on the item. Mushrooms, peppers, broccoli, florets, and stir-fry mixes tend to have the highest markups. I checked this myself at 3 different stores last month. I bought a head of broccoli for 99 cents. Right next to it on the shelf, a bag of pre-cut broccoli florets. The exact same amount of actual vegetable for $3.49. I stood there for a second and thought, who is buying the bag? And then I remembered that 6 months ago, that was me. Buy the whole vegetable. Spend 5 minutes with a cutting board. Store what you don't use in a container in the fridge. You will eat just as well, probably better, and keep significantly more money in your pocket each month. This one small change alone can save the average household $10 to $20 a week. That's real money over a year. Number 2. Name brand spices. I want you to think about the last time you bought a jar of garlic powder, paprika, or cumin. Chances are you reached for McCormick, maybe Lawry's, because they're familiar. They're right at eye level, and the packaging is nice. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Spices from the exact same source, the same farms, often the same processing facilities, end up in both the name brand jar and the store brand jar. The difference is almost entirely packaging and marketing. Studies comparing name brand and generic spices have found no meaningful difference in flavor, aroma compounds, or freshness when stored properly. McCormick garlic powder currently runs about $4 to $5 for a standard jar. The Walmart Great Value version? Often under $1.50 for the same quantity. Aldi's spices are even cheaper. Yet the actual product inside is functionally identical for everyday cooking. I switched to store-brand spices about 2 years ago, after a friend who works in food distribution told me where a lot of the major brands actually source. I was skeptical. I did a side-by-side test in my kitchen with paprika, one McCormick, one generic. My family couldn't tell the difference in the dish, not even close. Go through your spice rack and price out what you'd save by switching to generic equivalents. For most households, it's somewhere between $40 and $80 a year. For something you literally cannot taste the difference on. The brand is not the spice. You're paying for the red cap and the label. Number 3. Single-serve oatmeal packets. This one has been marketed so well that it almost feels wrong to criticize it. Quaker instant oatmeal packets. Little individual envelopes of flavored oatmeal that you dump in a bowl. Add water, microwave for 90 seconds, and eat. Convenient, right? Fast, easy, wholesome even. It's oatmeal after all. But here's where it falls apart. A box of 10 Quaker instant oatmeal packets costs around $4 to $5 at most stores. That works out to roughly 40 to 50 cents per serving. A 32-ounce canister of plain old-fashioned rolled oats, the giant Quaker canister, costs about $3 and gives you roughly 30 servings. That's 10 cents per serving. You are paying 4 to 5 times more per serving for the convenience of a little paper packet. And what's in that packet? Oats, sugar, artificial flavoring, and sometimes a lot of sodium. The plain rolled oats contain none of that. You add your own toppings and control exactly what goes in. I used to buy the maple and brown sugar packets every week without thinking. Then one morning I sat down and actually did the math on paper. I was spending close to $20 a month on individual oatmeal packets for one person. I switched to the big canister and started adding my own banana or a drizzle of honey. The monthly cost dropped to under $3. Same breakfast, better ingredients, a fraction of the price. Buy the big canister. It takes 30 extra seconds to portion it yourself. That's all the convenience you're paying for in the packet version. 30 seconds of your time at a 400% premium. This is how the grocery industry works. They find a task you could do yourself, remove it, and charge you dramatically more for the removal. Number 4. Bottled salad dressing. Walk down the salad dressing aisle, and you're looking at a wall of bottles priced anywhere from $3 to $8 each. Ranch, Italian, Caesar, balsamic vinaigrette, hundreds of options, all of them competing for your attention with colorful labels and words like zesty and original and restaurant style. Here's what most people don't realize. A basic vinaigrette, the foundation of dozens of dressings, takes about 60 seconds to make. Olive oil, vinegar, a little mustard, salt, pepper, maybe a garlic clove. The ingredients cost pennies per serving. A bottle of Ken's Italian dressing that costs $4 contains roughly 16 servings. You're paying 25 cents a serving for something that costs less than 5 cents to make at home with ingredients you probably already have. The shelf-stable dressings at grocery stores also tend to contain a lot of additives, stabilizers, preservatives, thickeners, and sweeteners that you wouldn't add if you were making it yourself. This is documented on every label. Look at the ingredient list on a bottle of store-bought Caesar dressing and count how many things you recognize. I started making my own dressings about 18 months ago, mostly out of curiosity. I wanted to see if it was actually worth the effort. It took me maybe a week to build the habit, and now I genuinely don't understand why I ever bought bottles. A jar of olive oil, a bottle of red wine vinegar, and some Dijon mustard costs maybe $12 total and makes me dressings for months. The practical move here is simple. Pick 2 or 3 dressings you actually use regularly. Look up a basic recipe and try making them at home once. You will almost certainly never go back to the bottle. You're protecting your budget and getting better food at the same time. That's a rare win. Number 5. Store brand organic snack foods. The word organic on a package has become one of the most effective upsell tools in grocery history. And I want to be careful here because real organic produce and organic whole foods are genuinely worth understanding. But I'm talking about something specific: organic packaged snacks, organic cookies, organic crackers, organic fruit snacks, organic granola bars. The organic certification on a packaged snack food tells you something about the farming practices of the ingredients. What it does not tell you is that the product is nutritious, low in sugar, or better for you than a conventional version of the same snack. An organic chocolate chip cookie is still a chocolate chip cookie. An organic fruit snack is still mostly sugar and corn syrup, just organic corn syrup. The markup for the organic label on snack foods typically runs 30 to 60% over the conventional equivalent. You are paying a significant premium for a certification that primarily benefits the ingredient sourcing, not necessarily the nutritional value of what you're actually eating. I had a long conversation with a nutritionist friend about this last year. She pointed out something that stuck with me. If you take a product that is essentially junk food, highly processed, high in sugar, low in fiber, and certify the ingredients as organic, you have a healthier planet in some respects, but you do not have a health food. You have an expensive junk food with a green label. If you care about organic, Put your money toward organic whole foods, fruits, vegetables, dairy, eggs. That's where it genuinely matters. On packaged snack foods, the organic label is mostly a marketing premium you're paying for. Skip it. Your budget deserves better than a 60% markup on a cookie that's still a cookie. Number 6, pre-shredded cheese. This is one of those items where I almost feel bad putting it on the list, because pre-shredded cheese is genuinely convenient. You open the bag, you sprinkle it on, done. But the more you know about what's actually in that bag, the harder it becomes to justify. Pre-shredded cheese contains cellulose, a wood pulp-derived anti-caking agent, to keep the shreds from sticking together. It also tends to contain potato starch and natamycin, a mold inhibitor. These additives are GRAS, generally recognized as safe, but they also affect how the cheese melts. Pre-shredded cheese melts noticeably worse than freshly shredded cheese, because the coating interferes with the proteins. If you've ever made a cheese sauce that turned out grainy or clumpy, pre-shredded cheese is often the culprit. Then there's the price. A 16-ounce block of cheddar typically costs $1 to $2 less than an 8-ounce bag of shredded cheddar. You're paying more money for less cheese that also has additives and melts poorly. I switched to buying blocks after a particularly bad attempt at homemade mac and cheese. I did some research to figure out what went wrong, and the pre-shredded cheese was the answer. I bought a block, shredded it with a box grater, made the same recipe, and the difference was significant. Creamier, smoother, better flavor. A box grater costs $3 to $5 and takes about 2 minutes to use. Buy the block. Shred it yourself. Your food will taste better, and you'll spend less money. This is about protecting your kitchen results and your grocery budget at the same time. Number 7. Bottled water from the grocery aisle. Here it is, number 7, the one I promised you. The bottled water from the grocery store is, without question, one of the greatest financial tricks ever pulled on the American consumer. And I say that with no exaggeration, because when you look at what you're actually paying, it is genuinely remarkable. A 24-pack of Dasani or Aquafina at a typical grocery store costs somewhere between $5 and $8. That pack contains roughly 122 ounces of water. Municipal tap water in the United States costs, on average, about 1/10 of a cent per gallon. Per gallon. Bottled water, when you run the math, costs somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 times more per gallon than tap water from your kitchen sink. Here's the part that should really give you pause. Dasani is Coca-Cola's tap water, filtered and bottled. Aquafina is PepsiCo's tap water, filtered and bottled. These are not exotic mountain springs. They are municipal water supplies that have been run through a filtration process and sold back to you at an astronomical markup. Both companies have disclosed this, and it's been widely reported for years. I looked into this myself after noticing I was spending close to $30 a month on bottled water for my household. $30. Every month. On water. I bought a basic pitcher filter, a Brita, for $18, and my annual cost for filtered water dropped to about $15 total for replacement filters. I went from $30 a month to $15 a year. If you have concerns about your tap water quality, you can get your water tested. Many municipalities offer this for free or low cost. A filter pitcher or a faucet-mounted filter addresses most common concerns. If you truly need bottled water, a refillable 5-gallon jug from a local water station costs a fraction of individual bottles. Stop buying individual bottled water at the grocery store. It is one of the clearest examples of paying for marketing instead of value that exists in any store anywhere. You do not want to keep doing this. Number 8. Flavored instant coffee and fancy grocery store. Coffee. The coffee aisle has gotten complicated in the last 10 years. It used to be a can of Folgers and maybe a couple of other options. Now it's an entire section of flavored instant coffees, single-serve pod options, premium blends priced at $15 to $20 for a small bag, and flavored creamers that have essentially become dessert. The flavored instant coffee category is one I want to single out specifically. Products like General Foods International Coffee, flavored instant cappuccino mixes, and the various cafe-style instant sachets are priced at a massive premium over regular instant coffee and deliver significantly less actual coffee content. Many of them are more creamer and sugar than coffee. You're paying for the flavor packet and the branding, not for coffee. Plain instant coffee, Nescafe for instance, gives you actual coffee at a fraction of the cost. If you want flavored coffee, adding a half teaspoon of vanilla extract or a sprinkle of cinnamon to your regular coffee costs essentially nothing and gives you a better result. I used to keep a tin of those flavored cappuccino mixes at work. It felt like a small treat. When I actually looked at the price per serving versus just buying a bag of ground coffee, I was paying close to 4 times more per cup for something that contained less caffeine and more artificial flavoring. Not a trade I'd make knowingly. Brew regular coffee. Add what you want to it. The grocery store coffee aisle has gotten very good at charging premium prices for things that are mostly sugar and chemicals, with a picture of a cozy cafe on the label. Know what you're buying. Your morning routine shouldn't be a money leak. Number 9. Grocery store bakery bread. The smell of the bakery section is not an accident. Grocery stores have known for decades that the smell of fresh-baked bread draws people in, makes them feel warm and comfortable, and makes them spend more time and money in the store. It is a documented retail psychology tactic used by virtually every major chain. But here's what you're actually getting with that beautiful bakery loaf. A large artisan-style loaf from a typical grocery store bakery runs anywhere from $5 to $9. It usually contains a long list of preservatives and conditioners. And while it smells and looks wonderful, it frequently goes stale or moldy within 3 to 4 days because it's baked on site and doesn't contain the longer-lasting commercial preservatives in the sealed loaves. Meanwhile, a comparable loaf of bread from the bread aisle, a solid whole-grain sandwich loaf for instance, costs $2 to $4, lasts significantly longer, and per slice is dramatically cheaper. Or for the fraction of households willing to try it, a basic bread recipe made at home costs roughly 40 to 60 cents per loaf in ingredients. I'm not saying never buy a bakery loaf. Sometimes you want a baguette for a dinner party, and that's completely reasonable. But making it a weekly staple, grabbing that $5 loaf every single trip because it smells good and it's right there, is a habit that costs real money over time. Be intentional about what you're buying in the bakery section. Know when you're making a treat purchase versus when you're making a grocery run. Those are different things, and treating them as the same is how the grocery store wins. The smell is the product. Don't let it make your shopping decisions for you. Number 10. Frozen diet meals, lean cuisine. Healthy choice. Smart ones. These products have been part of American grocery stores for decades, and they've built a reliable customer base on one simple promise: healthy, convenient, low-calorie meals that make weight management easier. I understand the appeal completely. Here's what most people don't know. The average frozen diet meal contains somewhere between 800 and 1,200 milligrams of sodium per serving. For context, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams per day for most adults. A single healthy choice meal can account for nearly half of that daily limit. The sodium is there partly for preservation and partly for flavor, because when you strip fat and calories from food, you often have to add salt and sugar to make it taste like anything. The other issue is the portion size and the price. These meals typically run $3 to $6 each, a single serving, and the servings are small. Many people report not feeling full after eating one, which somewhat defeats the purpose. For that same $5, a whole chicken breast with a side of rice and vegetables, cooked in about 20 minutes, provides more protein, significantly less sodium, and more food. I ate frozen diet meals for about 8 months during a period when I was trying to lose weight. They were convenient, and they fit my calorie goals on paper. But the sodium was leaving me feeling bloated and constantly thirsty, which I didn't connect until I stopped eating them, and the feeling went away within 2 weeks. I switched to meal prepping on Sundays. Same calorie targets, real food, lower sodium, and I was spending less money on a per-meal basis. If convenience is what you need, cook in batches. Make a big pot of something on the weekend and portion it into containers. You'll know exactly what's in it, it'll cost less, and it will actually satisfy you. Frozen diet meals are selling you the idea of a solution. Real food is the actual solution. Number 11. Juice drinks that are not actually juice. This one requires you to spend 30 seconds reading the label, and I think you'll be surprised by what you find. Walk down the juice aisle and look carefully at the packaging. Many of the most colorful, most prominently displayed products, especially the ones marketed toward kids, with names like Fruit Punch, or Berry Blast, or Tropical Breeze, contain somewhere between 5 and 25% actual juice. The rest is water, high fructose corn syrup or sugar, citric acid, and artificial flavoring and coloring. These products are required by the FDA to display their juice content on the label, but they're not required to make it prominent. The percentage is usually there if you look for it, and these products are typically priced nearly as high as actual 100% juice, which means you're paying juice prices for what is essentially slightly fruit-flavored sugar water. Ocean Spray's Cranberry Cocktail, for instance, is 27% juice. Sunny Delight contains less than 2% juice. Hawaiian Punch is about 5% juice. Compare these to actual 100% juice products, or better yet, just buying whole fruit, and the value gap becomes very clear, very fast. I noticed this with a product I was buying for years that had orange right there on the label in large letters, surrounded by pictures of fresh oranges. It wasn't until I grabbed it one day and actually read the fine print that I saw it was an orange-flavored drink with 15% orange juice. I had assumed it was actual orange juice for literally years. Read the label. Look for the juice percentage. If you want juice, buy 100% juice. If you want something flavored and sweet, at least know what you're actually buying and what you're paying for. Don't let the oranges on the label make your decisions. That's exactly what they're there to do. Number 12. Name brand over-the-counter pain relievers. Now, I know the grocery store pain reliever section might feel out of place on a grocery list, but hear me out, because this is one of the clearest and most documented cases of paying for a brand name instead of a product. Tylenol, Advil, Motrin, Aleve. These are among the most trusted brand names in American medicine. People reach for them instinctively when they have a headache, because the brand feels safe, reliable, professional. And the products are genuinely good. That's not in question. What is in question is the price premium. The active ingredient in Tylenol is acetaminophen. The active ingredient in the store brand acetaminophen tablet at Walmart, Walgreens, Target, CVS is also acetaminophen. By law, generic medications must contain the same active ingredient at the same dosage as their brand name equivalents. The FDA requires this. It is not a matter of opinion or preference. The generic is legally required to be the same thing. A 100-count bottle of Tylenol Extra Strength can run $9 to $12. The Walmart Equate or CVS Health generic version, often $3 to $4. Same dosage, same active ingredient. Regulated to be equivalent. You are paying 2 to 3 times more purely for the red and white label. I resisted switching for a long time because Tylenol just felt like the safe, correct choice. It's what my parents always bought. But when I looked at the FDA's generic drug equivalent standards and understood that the government literally requires the generic to be the same, I felt a little silly for having paid the premium for so long. I switched. Nothing changed except the number on my receipt. This is not a health risk. This is a marketing budget you're paying for. Skip the brand name on OTC medications. Your family's health doesn't require a premium. Your health outcomes will be identical. Number 13. Single-use specialty. Spice blends. The spice section at any major grocery store is full of something I call single-purpose blends. Taco seasoning, fajita seasoning, chili seasoning mix, pumpkin pie spice, everything bagel seasoning. These little packets and jars are marketed for one specific dish, priced at $1 to $3 each, and contain a small amount of product that you'll use once and then forget about. Here's what most of them actually are. Taco seasoning is chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, and oregano. All things you probably already have in your spice rack. Pumpkin pie spice is cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and cloves, also things most people have individually. You are buying a pre-mixed combination of spices you already own in a small quantity at a significant per-ounce markup. The price per ounce on these blends is often 3 to 5 times higher than buying the component spices individually. And because the individual spices go into dozens of different dishes, you get far more utility out of buying the base spices than the specialized blend that you'll use once for Taco Tuesday and then pushed to the back of the cabinet. I counted 8 single-use spice packets in my cabinet last year. 8. Some of them had been in there for over a year. I did the math and realized I'd spent close to $18 on tiny packets of spices I barely used. I threw them all out, looked up what was in each one, and realized I already owned every single ingredient in all of them. Google taco seasoning recipe. Write down the ratios. Make a batch. Store it in a small jar. It costs almost nothing, tastes better because you can adjust it, and that's the last time you buy a little silver packet at the grocery store. Don't let the convenience of a pre-made packet cost you 30 to 50% more per meal. Number 14. Gourmet and restaurant brand frozen pizza. The frozen pizza category has done something very clever in the last decade. It has moved aggressively upmarket. Where the freezer aisle used to be dominated by DiGiorno and generic store brands at $5 to $8, it now features restaurant-branded frozen pizzas, California Pizza Kitchen, Freschetta, Amy's, priced at $9 to $15 or more. These come with better-looking packaging, words like artisan and wood-fired and fresh ingredients, and the implicit suggestion that you're getting a restaurant experience at home. You are not getting a restaurant experience at home. You are getting a frozen pizza. What you're paying for is the licensing fee for the restaurant brand and the marketing designed to make you feel good about the purchase. The actual ingredient quality difference between a premium frozen pizza and a mid-range frozen pizza is, by most food science assessments, minimal. The toppings come from similar commercial sources, the dough is still frozen dough, and the end result is still pizza cooked in your home oven. Consumer taste tests have repeatedly found that people's preference for expensive versus budget frozen pizza is often driven by the packaging they see before tasting, not by the food itself. I ran my own informal test with family members. I bought a $12 California Pizza Kitchen frozen pizza and a $6 store brand with a similar topping profile. I cooked them both and served them without labels. The preference was roughly 50-50. No one correctly identified which was which based on taste alone. If frozen pizza is something you buy regularly, the store brand gets you the same outcome at 60% of the price. Put the difference toward real ingredients and make one homemade pizza instead. The gap between frozen and homemade is real. The gap between premium frozen and budget frozen is mostly marketing. Don't let a restaurant name on a frozen box cost you an extra $6 every grocery trip. Number 15. The grocery store loyalty trap. Buying what's on sale instead of what you need. This last one isn't a product, it's a behavior. And I'd argue it's the most expensive item on this entire list, because it doesn't show up as a single line on your receipt. It shows up as a pattern over time. Grocery stores design their sales, loyalty programs, and promotional pricing around one core objective: getting you to buy more than you plan to buy. The logic feels airtight in the moment. 10 for $10 on canned soup sounds amazing. Buy 2, get 1 free on snacks you like seems like a no-brainer. Points toward gas discounts encourage you to spend more to unlock a reward. These deals are real. The savings are real in a narrow sense. But they only save you money if you were going to buy those items anyway, at full price, in that quantity. Research on consumer shopping behavior consistently shows that promotional pricing increases the total volume of what people buy, sometimes by 30 to 50% per shopping trip, without necessarily increasing the value they receive. You buy 10 cans of soup because they're $1 each. You had planned to buy 2. Now you've spent $8 more than you intended, on food you may or may not use before it expires, or before your preferences change. I started keeping a shopping list and committing to it about 2 years ago. Not a loose mental list, an actual written list, made before I left the house, based on what I actually needed. I still buy things on sale, but only if they're on the list, only if I actually need them, only if I have a genuine plan to use them in the near term. My average grocery spend dropped by roughly 15% the first month I did this seriously. Not because I changed what stores I shopped at or found some special discount strategy, just because I stopped buying things I didn't need at prices that felt like deals. A sale on something you don't need is not a discount. It's a full-price purchase that comes with a story about savings. Go in with a list. Stick to the list. Know what a real deal looks like versus a promotional psychology trick. This is the skill that ties everything else together. So here's what all 15 of these items have in common. They are products and habits that have been designed, very deliberately, to capture money from people who are paying attention to prices, but not paying attention to value. That's a subtle but important difference. The grocery industry is not adversarial. These stores are not evil, but they are businesses, and their interests are not the same as yours. Their interest is to maximize what you spend. Your interest is to get the best food for your budget. Those two things are in tension every single time you walk through the doors. The people who come out ahead are the ones who know how the game works, who understand that convenience has a price tag, that branding is not quality, that a sale is only a sale when you actually needed the product. This knowledge, this awareness, is what separates someone who constantly feels like groceries are too expensive from someone who genuinely manages their grocery budget effectively. Most people will keep buying the pre-cut fruit, the name-brand spices, the single-serve oatmeal packets. They'll keep grabbing the bottled water and the frozen diet meals and the juice drinks that are barely juice. Not because they're uninformed people, because nobody told them to look closely. Now you know. And now you can do something about it. Start with 1 or 2 items from this list. Make one change this week. See what happens to your receipt. Then come back and make another change. Small adjustments, consistently applied, are how real savings actually happen. You're ahead of most people already, just by watching this far. If this was useful to you, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we do this every week. Real consumer trends, real data, real savings strategies. And leave a comment telling me which one of these you're going to change first. I read every comment and I genuinely like to know. Take care of yourself and your household. I'll see you in the next one.